Secret peeping. An 18-year-old is accused of recording video of a teacher in a Wake County classroom. What we're learning about 3 separate incidents.
We're dry today, but there's another chance for rain midweek. I'll have the timeline and our threat for severe weather.
Teacher pay in North Carolina. Today, a new report is out on where our state ranks for teacher compensation in the country. WRAL breaks down the numbers and what they mean for our educators. The week is off to a comfortable start, but the next round of rain arrives in 2 days. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Chris Levingood. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We do have meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner here in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with our chance for strong storms. Will it be enough to finally end this drought, Elizabeth?
Oh, Chris, it would take 10 to 11 inches in a month's time for us to end this current drought. And that's highly unlikely. In order to have that much rain in a month, we would need a tropical system, which would cause its own problems. So we're just looking to chip away at it. And we had great rain over the weekend, about ½ an inch to an inch. We're hoping that we'll see that out of this system. This has a history of producing deadly tornadoes and dangerous storms. We continue to have severe thunderstorms just north of St. Louis. This is moving up into Illinois. The cold front will slide through our area on Wednesday, but out ahead of it, there'll be a disturbance that swings through. That could bring us some showers right around lunchtime tomorrow. And you can see that at 1 o'clock, that rain moving through it. That'll be a light band that doesn't produce much in the rain cages. And then it's dry after that. And then we're dry for Wednesday morning. There's 6 a.m., but watch this band of rain start to move in by as early as 11, moving across the area through lunchtime and into the early part of the afternoon. And then a few lingering isolated cells could pop up. In this case, we do have a level 1 risk for severe storms. Damaging wind would be our biggest threat, but it looks like that threat would be isolated. We may have some pockets of heavy rain, and we could end up seeing another ½ inch to an inch. But again, we need to see this over and over and over for the next few months, at least once or twice a week. And we don't often see that as we move into our hot summer pattern where we just have isolated storms. But we're definitely looking forward to this good chance of rain for Wednesday, and we'll be watching out for that severe weather threat. But again, just a level 1.
Elizabeth, thank you. A Wake County student is facing more than a dozen felony charges and 1 misdemeanor for secret peeping. 18-year-old Jaden Pompey is accused of using a cell phone to film up the skirts of at least 2 different Wake County teachers. WRAL's Heidi Kirk has been following this. She joins us live now. Heidi, we just got an update from Wake County schools and learned that this happened at Wakefield High School.
Yeah, of course, Renee, and we know at least from those search warrants that at least one of those incidents did happen right here at Wakefield High School. I'm going to step out of the way and show you the campus here where we're standing. Now, this is 18-year-old Jaden Pompey. You can see his photo right here. His charges stem from at least 3 separate incidents that took place between February 16th and March 2nd, involving at least 2 teachers. Now, according to these search warrants, Pompey's felony charges stem from multiple instances of him unknowingly placing his cell phone underneath a teacher's skirt and pointing the camera up to her private area. Now, his misdemeanor charge stemmed from an incident in which he filmed a teacher in her classroom without her knowledge. Now, again, as you mentioned, just within the last 15 minutes or so, we did get an update from the school system. They said that they did, in fact, reach out to parents, letting them know that this happened as soon as they could. They say that the student was disciplined in accordance with their policy. And as you mentioned, he is no longer enrolled with the district. We still have more questions. We'll continue to ask them, and we'll have updates on WRAL this evening. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
A Cary man is expected to answer to charges today regarding a fraud scheme. Authorities arrested 40-year-old Christopher Murray at Charlotte Douglas Airport. The SBI says he contacted a family in Jones County, falsely claiming their bank account had been compromised, then demanding payment to resolve the issue. Murray faces numerous charges, including 1 count of felony exploitation of a disabled or elderly person.
A new report shows North Carolina still ranks near the bottom nationally in teacher pay. The National Education Association published a report about this. So let's go ahead and bring in WRAL's Ken Smith with a closer look at these numbers. Ken, we're also hearing from a teacher about her experience with trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, Chris, this report shows North Carolina is still ranked 43rd in teacher pay and 38th in starting teacher pay. Statewide data shows average teacher pay was about $60,000 last year, up from $58,000 a year. The average starting pay is now $45,000. $45,000 a year, up from $42,500. The state's ranking is likely to drop to 46 if state lawmakers don't pass a budget that includes teacher pay raises. During a virtual news briefing about the report this morning, one teacher talked about having to take on a second teaching job to make ends meet.
In 2018, I'm lucky enough to be grandfathered with my advanced degree pay, and I have national boards. If you look at my pay increase as a veteran teacher from 2018 to now, it's about 9%. If you look at the cost of living increase in that same window of time, it's 31%. So I am, in fact, making less than I was making about a decade ago.
The North Carolina Association of Educators calling on state lawmakers to increase school funding and give school staff a 25% raise. Well, teachers have not received raises for the current school year. As we noted, the state lawmakers have not agreed on a budget or how much to raise teacher pay.
A lot of people looking for them to do that. Thank you, Ken. In Cumberland County today, families can give their thoughts on proposed school closures. District leaders are considering closing Manchester and J.W. Kuhn elementary schools. Students would be reassigned next year, and tonight's meeting starts at 6 o'clock.
The man accused of opening fire at Saturday's White House Correspondents' Dinner is expected to be arraigned in federal court later today. Authorities are combing through the 31-year-old shooting suspect's social media history as they seek to understand a motive. Laura Levine is following the story in the WRAL Live Center with what we're learning about Cole Allen. Laura.
Yeah, Renee, right now we have a live picture here outside that courthouse, expecting that arraignment to happen today, as you mentioned. But White House Secretary Caroline Leavitt says that they will have a press conference at the White House today at 1 p.m. going over new details in this case. We also know that FBI Director Kash Patel, as well as the acting attorney general, will also hold a press conference really revealing some of the information that they've learned in the last 2 days. They said that they have been conducting dozens of interviews over the last 2 days with this weekend in multiple jurisdictions. We now know today that Cole Allen's brother notified police in Connecticut after the suspect in last night's shooting sent family members his writings. President Trump kind of mentioned some of these details in his 60 Minutes interview last night as well. Take a listen.
He's been going through a lot based on what he wrote. His brother complained about him, and I think reported him to the police.
And Kash Patel says that we will learn much more about him today. Meanwhile, a senior White House official tells NBC News that the White House will hold a meeting sometime this week, along with Secret Service, as well as the Department of Homeland Security, to go over safety protocols because the president does have some major events coming up in the next few months.
And again, that next update, 44 minutes from now, of course, be updating that on WRAL.com. But despite the shooting, King Charles III and Queen Camilla's 4-day visit to the U.S. is moving forward. The royal couple arrived today under heightened security. Buckingham Palace says that the trip will highlight the relationship between the two allies since the U.S. signed the Declaration of Independence. Tomorrow, King Charles will address a joint meeting of Congress and attend a state dinner hosted by the president and the First Lady. The royals will travel to New York on Wednesday to visit the 9/11 memorial. And the trip wraps up Thursday after the King and Queen's visit to Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia.
Despite the extreme drought in our state, the Harnett Regional Water Team will not plan to implement water restrictions. The team met this morning and says this past weekend's rain helped conditions at the water plant, and we are expecting more rain this week. And because of that decision, Holly Springs will not be imposing new water restrictions. You may remember a week ago, water restrictions went into effect in Raleigh. Nearly a dozen cities and towns across our area are facing water restrictions. Also, the assistant director of Raleigh Water says Falls Lake needs the rain to remove restrictions that went into effect last week. You can find extended, in-depth conversations on the severe drought and the water restrictions on the WRAL YouTube page. Just go to the homepage and search drought.
In less than 2 hours, tickets go on sale for round 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs at Lenovo Center, at least for the general public. The Canes finished off a first-round sweep of the Ottawa Senators with a win in Game 4 on Saturday. Season ticket members can get first access to second-round tickets as of 8 minutes ago. For the rest of the public, you can get tickets starting at 3 p.m. The Canes will host games 1 and 2 of the next round. And in the basketball world, we have an NBA playoff doubleheader tonight on WRAL. You got Game 4 between the Pistons and the Magic starting at 8 p.m. And then at 10:30, you got Game 5 between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. WRAL News will be over on WRAL News Plus, just so you know. You can find that on Channel 34 over the air, Spectrum Channel 1257, or on the WRAL app.
In less than an hour, the Raleigh Rotary Club will celebrate its America 250 Oak City Tree campaign. This is video of last year's event where they planted a ceremonial oak tree in Moore Square. Today's dedication will be at the governor's mansion. WRAL anchor Ashley Rowe is emceeing the event. WRAL is a proud sponsor of this year-long campaign.
Next at noon, measles outbreak over. That's the word from South Carolina leadership. A look back at how severe the situation was, plus why health experts believe it happened.
Deadly storm damage. We are giving you a closer look at the aftermath of severe weather that hit the central U.S. over the weekend, including tornadoes.
And shot and killed. What we know about the officer who fired shots, the person killed, and what led to this moment on video in Rocky Mount.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
Happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, a federal judge has sentenced a Johnston County social services worker for stealing more than $100,000 from SNAP. This is Sharmika McCrary. A federal judge sentenced her to 6 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release, and to pay $102,000 for her role in a scheme to steal more than $100,000 in SNAP. Investigators say that she used her position and privileges as a Johnston County social service caseworker to unlawfully access the SNAP accounts of qualified individuals and stole this money from the government funds for her own benefit and use. Now, on April 2nd, the Department of Justice announced a National Fraud Enforcement Division to investigate cases just like this and make sure they're able to find people who were wrongdoing taxpayer money.
We're looking at some encouraging news today from the State Department of Health and Human Services. The infant mortality rate fell to the lowest rate in state history. The improvement was marked by more babies surviving the most vulnerable weeks of life. Data from 2024 also revealed overdose-related deaths decreased by a third. Several strategies contributed to this decline, including efforts for naloxone distribution across the state that have also played a key role. Today, South Carolina health leaders say the largest measles outbreak in the U.S. in decades is over. There were nearly 1,000 confirmed cases over about 6 months and at least 21 hospitalizations. Public health experts have largely attributed the rise in measles cases in the U.S. to falling vaccination rates. In fact, more than 90% of the cases nationwide have been among people who have never received the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine.
Parts of the Midwest face a serious threat of tornadoes and widespread damaging wind gusts today. A level 4 of 5 risk of severe thunderstorms is in place for parts of southern Illinois and eastern Missouri, where the most significant threat of intense tornadoes looms today. NBC's Ryan Chandler shows us the damage from the past weekend's deadly storms.
Overnight, severe storms and reported tornadoes touching down in multiple states. North Texas pummeled over the weekend, with rain and hail sweeping through.
That's not even where that's supposed to be.
Tornadoes destroying homes, claiming at least 2 lives. Before these strong storms hit Springtown last night, a mobile home stood right here. Now it's a pile of rubble 50 feet away, and officials tell us a woman lost her life inside. That tornado and strong frontline winds damaged dozens of homes and displaced at least 50 people. Twisters also touching down in Kansas, where the winds flipped a train on its side. Folks in Enid, Oklahoma are still surveying the damage caused by a massive EF4 tornado.
This is our living room over here.
Maddie Boyd's home is now a wreck, but she's grateful her family is safe.
The only thing I ever know how to do in situations like that is pray. I was just yelling, asking, hey, if you take everything, just let us keep our family. Let us keep our neighbors. Just keep everyone safe, please.
Meanwhile, wildfires burning in drought-stricken Georgia intensifying Sunday, burning homes to the ground and forcing hundreds to evacuate.
And that was Ryan Chandler reporting. Coincidentally, this day in 2011 was one of the deadliest days due to tornadoes in U.S. history. A total of 319 people died as a result of the storms, the most in a single day since 1925.
A rocket being launched into low Earth orbit tonight might be visible here locally. Might, the keyword. Meteorologist Chris Michael shows us when and where to look out in today's Ask the Meteorologist. I think we may be having little issues with that story running, but that's okay. We've got meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner here. So, is it going to be too cloudy for us to see it? What's the situation?
No, it should be good.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
I can tell you've been in the building all day, Chris. We need to get you outside. No, it's nice. The sunshine is back. We're going to have a good-looking day. Tomorrow, we have a tiny little shower that'll roll through probably around the middle of the day, and then a chance for thunderstorms on Wednesday. That's going to be our best chance of rain, at least during the work week. But, Chris, look at this. See how pretty it is outside right now? Oh, yeah, there it is. Look at that blue sky. It'll still be clear tonight as the rocket launches, and it should be a really nice view. As a matter of fact, Chris Michaels was talking about the fact that the sun's going to be setting right about the time the rocket launches. And so the sun angle should be enough. The sun hits the rocket and lights it up. And so it could be really good. So make sure you go to WRAL.com. That story is there and you can read it for yourself. 61, our current temperature. So it's kind of cool outside. Our winds are east at 9 miles per hour. We could add another 10 degrees or so up to 71, 72 this afternoon. It's a little bit breezy. Wind still coming out of the northeast, but in the next 24 hours, it switches to southwesterly. It's not going to bring us into the 80s or 90s, thankfully. We're going to stay pretty close to normal. A little breezy, gusts are anywhere 15 to 20 across our area right now, and that's the way it'll stay all afternoon, probably all the way up until, say, midnight or so. Pleasant this afternoon. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 70s, and gradually we start to see the wind shifting. But again, it doesn't warm us up a whole lot. 76 is our normal high, 72 today, 74 Tuesday, 76 on Wednesday. Wednesday, the day that we'll have a strong front, and even behind the front, we don't see a big drop in our temperature. However, if you think it's been warm, oh my goodness, it definitely has. The warmest spring on record, and we start spring March 1st. This is meteorological spring, but the warmest on record since 1887 with an average temperature of 62.7. That is the average of the high and the low together, and that's the way the records are kept. Looking ahead, we don't have that in our forecast. We have cooler than normal temperatures in our forecast all the way through the next week or so. Temperatures between now and, say, Friday or Saturday should be near normal, and then they could be dropping below normal. Again, normal's mid 70s. It was really nice to see the rain over the weekend. We had some good looking rainfall totals. Fayetteville at about 3/4 of an inch, Goldsboro around an inch, Clinton was more than an inch, Morrisville almost an inch, Cary at 0.18, and look at NC State, 1.6. So there were definitely pockets where that rainfall was heavier. And here comes more. This system has a history of producing deadly tornadoes over Texas, and it continues to push eastward here into Illinois, and we're looking at severe thunderstorm watches and warnings with that system right now. It rolls through here Sunday, right around the middle of, Wednesday, right around the middle of the day, and could last into the evening. And we're going to walk through that with Futurecast again coming up in just a few minutes. But we're definitely looking at a ½ inch to an inch again. Now, of course, we need a whole lot more rain than what we saw over the weekend and Wednesday to get us out of the drought. But we'll talk about what it could take coming up in just a little bit.
All right, sounds good, Elizabeth. Thank you. Your time right now is 12:19. Bank scam arrest. A man in Cary is accused of scamming people out of hundreds of dollars. Today on WRAL News at 4, how law enforcement officers say he did it, and they're warning to you about protecting your hard-earned money.
Plus, major improvements. New data shows infant mortality rates are down in North Carolina. This evening on WRAL News at 5, what health leaders say is causing this to happen.
A vacation refund denied over a military deployment. That's what happened to one Fort Bragg family. And that's when they called 5 on Your Side's Keely Arthur to help.
If you ever want to take a vacation, this story is for you. A local family purchased travel insurance called Cancel for Any Reason. But when they went to cancel, their claim was denied. The reason for canceling? A military deployment. Yeah, you heard that right.
In light of the conflict in Iran, Sergeant First Class Chris Beatles was sent on an unplanned deployment earlier this month to the Middle East. He and his partner had originally planned to spend some of their April on a Royal Caribbean cruise. They say the moment they went to cancel their trip, the insurance company denied coverage, stating war and invasions as excluded. But when I looked at the policy, I found a loophole of sorts and showed it to Jeff Rolander, an insurance executive with 36 years in the industry. The clause I found stated if military leave is revoked, which Beatles was, he's covered as long as there's written confirmation from a commanding officer.
I'll admit I'm surprised that they're telling this customer that it wouldn't be covered in light of the policy wording that you just showed me.
Now, Ann has yet to respond after I pointed all of that out to them, but I was still able to get the family back some money. How much and why I still think I can make them whole, I'm going to break it all down tonight on WRAL News at 6. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
Tesla is offering 1 year of free supercharging with the purchase of a new Model 3 Premium or performance vehicle. The promotion starts at delivery and can't be postponed or redeemed for cash. The offer also does not apply to cars used for commercial purposes, such as ride sharing or delivery. JetBlue could face a class action lawsuit for reporting using personal data to set airfares. A New Yorker says the airline used his information without him knowing while he booked a flight to Florida last year. The lawsuit claims the airline charged customers differently based on their browsing and data behavior. JetBlue Airways denies those claims.
Your time is 12:24 this afternoon. Diplomacy in danger. The war in Iran enters its 9th week. Despite attempts to bring the war to an end, a new round of peace talks between the U.S. and Tehran appears far off. The latest on the efforts to bring the conflict to an end.
Billionaire battle. Elon Musk and Sam Altman prepare for a courtroom standoff. What's at stake? Coming up at 12:30. And here's a look at your winning North Carolina Education Lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Welcome back. The SBI is looking into a deadly shooting in Rocky Mount. Now, just within the last few minutes, we have learned that Rocky Mount Police will give an update in a news conference today at 2 o'clock.
Well, and the SBI right now is saying that a police officer shot and killed someone on Sunset Avenue. WRAL's Ali Kadabar explains what witnesses saw before the shots were fired.
A crash, a chase, and a shooting. That's what people in the area tell us they saw yesterday. We are working to confirm this with investigators and find out exactly what happened. We do want to show you this surveillance footage shared by a nearby business on Sunset Avenue. You can see a person running across the parking lot and what looks like an officer chasing them. We also saw officers investigate a crashed SUV. A tire was blown out. Authorities say an officer shot and killed a person. An officer was also treated for minor injuries. We spoke with a person who was working near the scene. She says she saw a chase unfold.
Well, I obviously saw a lot of cops moving in, and I seen some cops running. Some were up here, some were across the street, and then of course some were going next door.
We're working to find out the names of the people involved, and we've also reached out to police and SBI with these questions. What led up to the shooting? Who fired shots first? And were there other officers on the scene during the shooting? When we hear back, we'll let you know. We're staying on top of this. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Kadlabar, WRAL News.
Today, people in North Carolina could get a better idea of how the governor wants to improve public safety. Governor Josh Stein will speak at the North Carolina Sheriff's Association Spring Conference, and that's in Wrightsville Beach. He's expected to highlight his proposed budget, including pay raises and bonuses for law enforcement. And the goal is to help fill staffing shortages in order to keep communities safe.
And happening now here in the WRAL Live Center, the Department of Justice will now address the nation today with an update on the shooting investigation that took place here at the White House Correspondents Association dinner in Washington, D.C. All of this comes as Cole Thomas Allen, the 31-year-old suspect, who is a Southern California native, is also expected to make his first court appearance today, this afternoon. So the U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C. previously said the suspect would be charged with 2 counts of using a firearm during a crime of violence and a second crime of assault on a federal officer using a dangerous weapon. She added that many more charges were expected to be filed. Of course, this press conference at 3 p.m. with the DOJ will follow the 1 p.m. White House press conference that's taking place.
Laura, thank you. Hopes of a diplomatic breakthrough in the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran faded today. Efforts to revive talks stalled in both Tehran and Washington, D.C., showing little sign of softening their positions. NBC's Molly Hunter reports from Tel Aviv.
These talks between the Iranians and the Americans are looking even more unlikely this morning. So both sides have stepped back from war. Both sides waiting it out, waiting for the other side to blink. But neither side is really making any moves or laying the groundwork for these negotiations to continue. Now, over the weekend, the Iranian foreign minister was in Pakistan. There was some hope that maybe this weekend would be the moment for kind of the Pakistanis to host these much talked about second round of talks. The White House said they were going to send special representatives Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Well, on Saturday, President Trump canceled that trip. He stood by that decision. He said the Iranian authorities can call if they want to talk. And it comes as Axios reports this morning, citing a U.S. official and 2 sources with knowledge that actually the Iranians passed on a new proposal via Pakistani mediators to the U.S. And that proposal reportedly including reopening the Strait of Hormuz, ending the war, and kicking the nuclear issue down the road to future negotiations. Now, the Iranian foreign minister has continued his regional tour. He made a stop in the Gulf, and this morning touchdown in St. Petersburg, Russia. Russia, a very important ally for Iran, and he is now meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, where he will talk about not only relations with Russia, but also the broader war and conditions under which any kind of U.S. or Iranian negotiations could continue. Molly Hunter, NBC News, Tel Aviv, Israel.
Gas prices started the week by continuing their upward trajectory. The average price for a gallon of gas inched up a penny to reach $4.11 for the national average. That brings it closer to reaching its recent peak of $4.17 on April 9th. It also marks the 5th day of increasing prices. Iran said over the weekend that the Strait of Hormuz will not return to its pre-war state under any circumstances.
And people here locally are keeping a close eye on which gas stations have the best prices.
So I'm bouncing back from like gas station to gas station just to find, the lowest price available. And sometimes, you'll find it between like Murphy and Garner and then here in the White Oak area. And so, bouncing around has just been the biggest trouble just to get cheap gas. And so it's horrible.
And don't forget, you can use the fuel tracker on the WRAL News app to find the lowest cost of gas where you are. Just search the word fuel.
The number of nationwide ICE arrests has dropped since the deaths of 2 American citizens at the hands of immigration officers in Minneapolis. New data shows ICE arrests have dropped by nearly 12% following the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in January. The government announced a drawdown of immigration agents in Minnesota on February 4th. Although the number of arrests is down, they are still higher than the average for much of the first year of President Trump's second term. Health officials in San Francisco are issuing a warning after its first death caused by a new synthetic opioid. Cyclorphine is now linked to an overdose death earlier this month. The first time DEA saw it was in 2024 at one of their labs in Florida. One DEA agent says cyclorphine could show up in just about any other drug. It can be mixed into a pill or with cocaine, or it can be sold as cocaine.
Importantly, it's not detected on the available fentanyl test strips that are out there. So it's very important to really try to avoid counterfeit pills altogether.
It's also believed to be resistant to Narcan, also known as naloxone, the nasal spray that can reverse an opioid overdose. Officials are warning that it could take multiple doses for it to kick in.
Today, the new and improved Raleigh Fire Station 3 will open. The new $11.5 million station will be located just north of I-40 on Rock Quarry Road. The old facility, less than 2 miles away on Southeast Street, will also close today.
Cell location data. The Supreme Court reviews police use of cell location data to find criminals. What this could mean for you.
Plus, beyond a hangover, what anxiety is after a night of drinking and how you can avoid it. Remember, you can watch WRAL News Plus live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device. Jury selection begins today in California in a civil trial between Elon Musk and Sam Altman. Musk is suing ChatGPT maker OpenAI and its leaders, including Altman, the CEO. Musk claims he was deceived by the executives when OpenAI became a for-profit operation after originally billing itself as a nonprofit mission. The trial comes as OpenAI prepares for a massive initial public offering. The issue of location data is headed back to the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices are set to debate whether police need a warrant to access what's called geofence data. That's generally location information that's collected by cell phone apps. The justices are considering whether law enforcement violated a convicted armed robber's constitutional rights. They identified him using a broad search of cell phone users at the scene. A geofence warrant was used to identify supporters of President Donald Trump who broke into the Capitol on January 6, 2021.
AI-powered machines are learning how to perform basic human tasks through so-called robot kindergarten. 2 MIT graduates co-founded Tutor Intelligence at a factory in Massachusetts. The goal is to help robots adapt in any situation. Right now, robots are doing basic tasks like picking up individual items, putting them into boxes, trying to fold laundry. Developers say at the rate technology is advancing, within the next 5 years, we will not be able to go through our day-to-day life without seeing a robot. Wrap your mind around that.
It's giving Skynet vibes, but we'll see where we are in about 5 years from now. Well, let's get you a live look outside right now at the Legislative Building in downtown Raleigh. Blue skies, and of course, today is a nice one, but we're wondering when is that next significant rainfall. Elizabeth Gardner will have that for you as you're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app or your TV or streaming device. Again, Elizabeth will be back after the break with your full forecast.
Studies prove that alcoholic drinks are not good for your body. It can also have a significant impact on your mental health. Now, if you choose to drink, experts say it's important to be conscious of the cocktails you consume. Mandy Gaither explains the symptoms of a common post-drinking experience called anxiety and how to avoid it.
It's no secret alcohol isn't considered good for your health as it raises risk of heart disease, liver damage, and more. It's also the leading preventable cause of several cancers, and it can take a toll on mental health.
Anxiety refers to the emotional symptoms that can come up the morning after you have some drinks.
Dr. Hannah Snyder with Cleveland Clinic says that can include brain fog, anxiety, sadness, irritability, and feelings of regret, guilt, and shame.
People can also experience on the physical side a racing heart, butterflies in the stomach, sweating, and fidgeting.
Snyder says alcohol can also worsen mental health conditions like depression, diagnosed bipolar disorders, psychotic disorders, sleep disorders, ADHD, trauma-related disorders, and can increase risk of suicide. If you choose to drink, she says to be conscious of cocktail consumption.
Some great first steps are eating a healthy meal before drinking, drinking plenty of water, spacing out drinks, and diluting drinks, even with ice.
Snyder says cutting back on alcohol or cutting it out completely may be the most helpful way to avoid anxiety, but she says it all comes down to knowing your body.
For some folks, having a drink or two can feel okay. For others, that won't be part of their lives.
Now, factors that make a person more likely to experience anxiety include genetics, the amount of food or water you've consumed, body weight, emotional disposition, and those who already experience mental health conditions.
Doctors say people lose a lot of water from their bodies while they sleep, through breathing and through sweating. And that's why when you're starting your day, one of the very first things you're recommended to do, drink a glass of water. Drinking water right after you wake up can help boost metabolism, improve digestion, and prevent urinary tract infections. Scientists may be able to spot Earth-like planets using a massive telescope, 15 times more powerful than the Hubble telescope. The ELT, or Extra Large Telescope, is now being built in Chile. The telescope comes with an extra large price tag, $1.5 billion. Woof. The project is expected to be complete in 2030, but after all the images we saw after the Artemis 2 mission and stuff, please give us more space pictures. I want to see them.
And what is out there? Is there another Earth planet out there? Maybe that telescope will find it. We'll see.
I love the name, though. Don't you love it? ELT, Extra Large Telescope. You know, it wasn't like named after somebody or, you know, anything fancy.
It's very to the point and basic.
Says what it is.
That's so funny. We have an extra large map here with an extra large playground. This is the Gibson Play Plaza, which is out at Dix Park. And so many kids out there and their parents having a big old time. My parents even said that they headed out to check it out last week when they, or I guess it was maybe Saturday when our temperatures were very comfortable. 61 is our current temperature. It's a little bit on the cool side. We have an east wind right now at 9 miles per hour, and our winds will be shifting as we get through the next 24 hours. Of course, we had a nice little soaking rain that happened over over Saturday night, so a little over 24 hours ago. Fayetteville at 3/4 of an inch, Goldsboro at about an inch, a little over an inch in Clinton, almost an inch in Morrisville, a little over 3/4 of an inch in Cary. NC State at 1.6, but then over at RDU was a half an inch. So varying widely in terms of how much rain people saw across our viewing area, but it did average half an inch to an inch, and that was wonderful to see. Now, it's going to take multiple, when I say multiple, I mean, you know, several months of routine rain that happens once or twice a week for us to get out of the drought. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. We would need, in a month's time, 10 to 11 inches of rain. Of course, if we saw 10 to 11 inches of rain in 1 month, we would have the potential for flooding. We don't usually see 10 to 11 inches in one storm unless it's something tropical, and then that would cause some major flooding problems. So we don't hope for that, but we just hope to continue to see one front after another after another. But what I'll say is once we get into June, July, and August, fronts are few and far between, and we just have pop-up thunderstorm cells. That's our summer pattern, so that doesn't lend us to hoping that we'll get out of the drought. This next system has a history of producing damaging and deadly tornadoes. That will stay to our north, and the cold front with that comes in on Wednesday. But well ahead of it, we'll have a disturbance that swings through. Could bring us some rain starting late morning through around lunchtime across our area. Some of the other models are very dry with this. Some of them are bringing that rain in. It's just going to see, it's going to be dying out as it gets close to us. So whether it makes it here or not, it's not going to bring us much rain in the rain gauges. So this is the main event. By the time we get to lunchtime on Wednesday, we see this line of thunderstorms coming through. It is a level 1 risk. And so we're looking at the potential for some damaging wind and some heavy rain with that, which we definitely need. How much? Likely to be somewhere between a half an inch and an inch across pretty much the entire state, which is fantastic news. We don't see big temperature swings with this either. We'll see highs in the low to mid 70s all the way into the weekend.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Your time is 12:49. Toxic tulips. These beautiful flowers are popping up everywhere. Why vets say this beautiful sign of the season could pose a danger for your dog. Well, as we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following for today. A Wake County student is accused of using his cell phone to record up multiple teacher skirts. 18-year-old Jaden Pompey faces more than a dozen felony charges and 1 misdemeanor for secret peeping. Charges stem from at least 3 separate cases, including at least one at Wakefield High. Wake School says that Pompey is no longer enrolled in the school and he is being held without bond ahead of his first court appearance tomorrow.
In the next hour, we can expect an update in the Rocky Mount officer-involved shooting. A news conference will be held at 2 o'clock. The shooting happened yesterday afternoon on the 3300 block of Sunset Avenue. Police say an officer shot and killed a person. The SBI is leading the investigation. We will be at the news conference and bring you the latest information on air, online at WRAL.com.
Today, North Carolina still ranks toward the bottom nationally in teacher pay. A new report from the National Education Association ranks the state 43rd in average teacher pay and 38th in starting teacher pay. These rankings are about the same as last year, and this is all based on data from the school year before this one. Average teacher pay was about $60,000, and average starting pay was about $45,000.
A ewe in Vermont recently surprised everyone by giving birth to 6 little lambs. The same ewe, named Timu, after a Finnish hockey player, previously had quadruplets as well. Sources differ on how uncommon sheep sextuplets are, with the owner putting the number at around 1 in 1,000, while some agricultural websites place it at 1 in a million or higher. Now, during a recent checkup, testing suggested that she would have 2 lambs this time around, but as it turns out, that was not the case.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, are we going to have enough? When does this end? But thankfully after that, she was done.
6 little ones. The sextuplets and their mother are all doing well, making the lamb windfall even more remarkable. The farm raises those sheep for wool, and they plan to keep the 4 ewes and find homes for the 2 male lambs.
So tulips are a beautiful sign of spring, but they can be dangerous for your dog. Dog owners should be careful not to let their dogs eat these because they could be toxic. Veterinarians say that if pups eat them, well, that could pose problems like hypersalivation. That means the dog is drooling a lot. They can also cause vomiting, diarrhea, and even depression. Well, our pet of the day is a majestic debonair cat from Safe Haven for Cats. Hopeful to cure your depression. To see this cute little cat, meet Raph. The sweet young man is looking for his forever home, and he'd love to have a feathered toy because, well, he loves his playtime. Raph is a 1-year-old neutered male, buff tabby tux. Safe Haven for Cats is open for adoption Tuesday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if you are interested, you can contact Safe Haven for Cats. That is a super cute cat, especially when you look at the eyes.
Yes, angelic face right there. Very photogenic. Bank scam arrest. A Cary man is accused of scamming people out of hundreds of dollars. Today on WRAL News at 4, how law enforcement officers say he did it, and they're warning to you about protecting your hard-earned money. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
And as always, you can get breaking news updates with the WRAL News app. Hope you have a blessed day today.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.